Consumer Connect.
Welcome to another exciting edition of the Consumers Connect show, powered by the Brand Colossus Productions. I am your host, Ogale Abikele, and every week we bring consumers and businesses together to have honest conversations about the issues that affect our daily lives. Now think about it. Think for a moment. How many times have you checked whether there was light? How many times have you listened for the sound of generator? Or even worried about the amount of fuel left in your generator? I know many of us can, resonate with that experience. Or maybe you've had to delay laundry, postpone charging your devices. I mean, if you go around town, you see people moving from one place to the other, looking for where to charge their phones. I mean, that's what we're going to be discussing today. So we're talking about one of the biggest issues facing Nigerian consumers, which is our power challenges and the growing interest in alternative energy solutions. Now we're beginning to see that more people are installing solar systems, businesses are moving away from generators, families are investing in inverters and batteries. So the conversation is really, is solar really worth the investment? Is it affordable? How do you avoid making costly mistakes? And they are some of the questions that are bogging your minds today, and we're going to address those questions in the program today. The conversation is electricity challenges and what are the alternatives that we have. Electricity is one of the biggest challenge, as we have already established, and now I would like our consumers who are listening to us to share some of their experiences. I mean, I personally can attest to the fact that I have suffered a great deal when it comes to electricity access and all that. And so the number to call to contribute to the program today is 08058975897. You're on to Consumers Connect, where we get brands to connect with consumers, where consumers' voices are heard. So get talking, give us a call, and let's hear what experiences you have when it comes to electricity. What are you opting for as an alternative? Let's get the conversation started.
Like now, the electricity, they delay work, they delay business. Like we promise something, customer like say you want give food like tomorrow. Now if they take like now, you know, meet up. So for now, it's easy to buy for like this. For don't cost. So I don't go save us.
All right, as I've already established, electricity access is a huge challenge in Nigeria today, and a lot of us have stories to tell. We went into the street and we're gathering responses, and it will interest you what consumers are going through when it comes to power access. Let's hear more.
Ever consider switching to solar energy? Why or why not? Yeah, I want to switch into it, or if I have the resources, I'll buy.
So after this
I'll
one,
buy.
which one?
I'll
I'll
get
go back to your
it
16.
done. But that's another very good alternative that is
This one
helping.
is taking
So fuel, yeah.
As soon as I can afford it, I will do it.
I think
I rate our light 4.5 over 10. And that of the listing I close around from work around 6. I have to stay back to charge my phone because there's no light. And I don't like to keep power bank because it might spoil my phone. So we don't use fridge that much because we don't see light when they put anything for fridge. For now, I don't have any alternative. I don't have any alternative.
Fantastic. I mean, you can really feel the heartbeat of the consumers expressing all they're going through as it relates to the challenge. I mean, electricity is almost like life itself. The number to call is 08058975897. We're still on Consumers Connect show. You can call on that number to share your thoughts. It'll be interesting to hear your perspective, really, because I know everyone has that challenge, even me. And now we want to talk about alternative energy sources. And there are so many. And what are the considerations you need to have when you want to get an alternative energy power source? Today we'll be moving on to the business behind the brand segment of the show, where we'll be speaking to an expert in solar energy. He's Mr. Segun. He will introduce himself better because I like people to do the introductions themselves. And so we'll bring him on after a moment. Okay, so pleased to have you, Mr. Segun. Can you just introduce yourself?
Alright, good evening listeners, good evening producer, and good evening every other person in the studio. So my name is Engineer Segun Ajibade. I am a renewable energy and security systems expert, and I am the founder and CEO of Mod Tech Works Ltd.
Okay, thank you so much, and I'm very excited that you're on this conversation because I mean many of us want to have these alternative power sources which are out there, and you're presenting to us an opportunity which is access to solar energy, and you want to tell us more about it. But a very important question would be that as Nigeria continues to face significant power supply challenges, from an industry perspective, how would you assess the growth of renewable energy sector, and how realistic is solar energy as a long-term solution for average Nigerian household and businesses?
Alright, so thank you very much for that question. So I would like to answer that question by starting from the grid itself. So as we speak today, Nigeria has an installed grid capacity of about 14,000 megawatts, right? But the supply we get from it is an average of 4,000 megawatts, which is not even enough to supply power to a single state. Let's say the smallest state in Nigeria, which is Bayelsa in terms of population. So there's a great shortfall in the supply of electricity from the grid. Now, in the world that we live in today, almost everything that we interact with in our homes, in our businesses, almost everything requires electricity. But the electricity to power them doesn't even exist from the grid. So people are forced to seek an alternative. And in this case, the alternative that people embrace is solar energy. Now in Nigeria and even globally, the growth of renewable energy of that sector is about 25% annually, because power is not available. So I would say from a professional point of view that the alternative source of energy to the shortfall that we have from the grid is solar energy.
Okay, now you're mentioning solar, but there's another aspect of it that we need to put into perspective, which is the cost. A lot of, we went out to be interacting with a lot of persons, and one of the concerns is access to funds to purchase it. A man actually said, "Oh, Gali, if I have money, I will just get solar and forget about the grid." So the question is, cost remains one of the biggest barrier to adopting solar energy. And beyond the initial purchase, of course, which is extremely high, what should consumers consider when comparing the true cost of solar power with generators and alternative energy sources?
All right, thank you. So one mistake that's intending, clients that want to acquire solar energy, one mistake they make is to compare the initial cost of acquiring the solar system to the initial cost of acquiring a generator set, for instance. Yeah, so you can't make the comparison that way, because for acquiring a generator system, there's a running cost that you also have to consider over the years. If you acquire a solar system, most times once you acquire it, the running cost is almost zero. But if you acquire a generator set, for the lifespan of that generator set, you keep spending money. So eventually, if you do the maths, you would be spending a lot more on acquiring a generator set than the solar system.
Okay, so what would you propose for, the ordinary Nigerian who may not have the finance to purchase, and they want it? Because these are the people we talk to every day on the street. They want this, and now we have smaller portable solar devices that could just charge your phone and do other things. But like you rightly said, there are several other things in our lives that needs energy, power. So what are you proposing now as an expert for consumers, everyday consumers who may not have the huge finance to purchase something like that?
Alright, so I'm going to answer this from different perspectives. So one, customers don't have good knowledge of how a solar system works. So what most people do from experience is that they engage maybe a neighbor or someone that they have seen install it. They ask for the capacity that has been installed, and they just come to us to say, oh, I want a 10 kVA inverter system, right? They actually don't consider what actually works for them and what they actually need. So what we do is, if you come to us that way, we actually engage you to know what your specific needs are, because there's also a myth that, oh, the bigger this solar system, the better it is. And that is actually not true, because what you want is to solve a particular need, which is your own need, and our needs are different. What I need power for might be different from what you need power for, right? So when a customer wants to acquire a solar system, the first recommendation is that whichever company you are engaging must perform a power audit to understand what your actual needs are. So that power audit is what is going to inform the size of your solar system. Then the size of your solar system will consequently inform the cost of the solar system. But if you don't go through that route of doing the power audit, you would end up requesting for an oversized system, which you would most times not be able to afford.
Thank you so much, Mr. Segun. Is there anything else you want to add to what you said so far?
Okay, yeah. So even after the power audit has been done, it is still possible that customers might not be able to afford the cost of acquiring it, or just dropping the full payment at once. So what we do at Mod Tech Works Ltd is that we allow customers to spread their payments over a couple of months, depending on what your budget can allow. So we have a partnership with a microfinance bank, and that's UC Microfinance Bank. It's like an arm of United Capital, right? So when you come to us and you don't have the funds to install at once, we allow you spread the payments over up to 24 months. So this actually makes the payment flexible, and it makes solar installations more accessible to businesses and small households.
Okay, so you're still on to Consumers Connect Show, and we're talking about power and alternative energy sources. Mr. Segun has been speaking to us about what we should consider when we want to get access to those alternatives, particularly solar energy. So we are getting into the Consumers Courtroom. But before I go there, the number to call to contribute to the program is 08058975897. Call and talk your own. Come and ask questions before it gets too late. So we're on to Consumers Courtroom. Now, Mr. Segun, listen attentively. A small business owner who spends almost 200,000 naira every month buying fuel finally decides enough is enough.
Okay.
Invest in his savings. Most of us do actually invest all our savings in a solar power system after being promised lower running costs and uninterruptible electricity. Everything works perfectly for a few months, then the batteries begin to discharge much faster than expected. Some equipment can't be powered. After being promised lower running costs and uninterruptible electricity, everything works perfectly. Yeah, I've said that before. Now, he discovers that the system installed wasn't actually designed for the amount of electricity his business uses every day. Now he's disappointed. He feels he's wasted his money. So, what is the way out for such a person?
Okay, alright. So, like I said earlier, the first step that you need to take when you want to install a solar system is to perform a power audit. So if you get the power audit wrong, you're going to get every other thing wrong. The installation will be undersized, and eventually it will lead to system failure, as in the case of this customer that you have mentioned. So to advise this customer, it largely depends on the kind of system that has been installed for him or her, right? So the kind of systems that we install, they are actually scalable. They are smart systems that can be scaled. So even if you cannot afford what like the cost of what you need immediately, you can scale up. You can install what your budget can afford now, then over time scale up as your budget can allow, right? So it depends on what has been installed for this particular customer. If it is a scalable system, fine, she can, get some more money and add to the system. But if it is not scalable, well, I'm sorry to say she might.
I like the part when you mentioned scalable, because me, I experienced that. I got
Okay.
a solar, device,
Yeah.
but I noticed I couldn't pass certain, and then I had to now buy another one. Now the problem is they don't educate enough. Maybe you should really emphasize on that. A lot of experts or practitioners within your sector, they are all about come and do this
Install,
and
yeah.
yes, but the education part isn't there. So perhaps maybe you should highlight on that and then educate consumers on the need to ensure that they get the value, because again it's about getting value. So please, if you may.
Okay, so as I have said, right, and from experience, what some customers also do is they try to compare prices without actually comparing, the value that would be delivered. So you give a customer a quotation, and the customer says, "Oh, I can get it done for half the price." Now you have not considered quality, so and that's a major, it's a major challenge that we experience. There are a lot of low quality equipment, right? So there are a lot of vendors that would offer you cheaper prices for the same thing that we are offering you, for high quality equipment. So customers make the mistake of not getting enough knowledge about the equipments themselves. Another thing that customers should actually do is to ensure that the company they are engaging actually gives them some documentation on the warranties they are giving on all of the equipments. What's the warranty on the inverter? What's the warranty on the batteries? What's the warranty on the solar panels? So that in case 1 year down the line you have issues, you can always call them back and get them to replace whatever has failed in the system.
So I like the aspect, you just talked about. It takes my mind to relationship. I believe that you need to build a relationship of trust between the service provider and then
Yes.
the consumer.
Yeah.
Enough that the consumer gets the value for their
Value,
money
yeah.
and there's an understanding.
Yes.
So it shouldn't be like just a one-off, do my
Yeah,
thing for me
exactly.
and you go your way.
Exactly.
There should be an existing relation, because you talked about warranty. Warranty takes a long time.
A long time,
So you can always get back to the service provider to say,
Yeah.
okay, this is not serving me. What can we
What
do
can we do?
going forward? I would like to appreciate you, Mr. Segun. And Mr. Segun is from Mod Tech Ltd. They offer solar energy solutions. And do you want to share your contact in case anyone wants to reach out to you?
Well, if you would like to reach us, you can come to our office physically at the first floor, Omole Plaza, on Ishari Road, along Ogba Bega Road. Then our phone contact is 080 6646 1089. I'll take that again. 080 6646 1089.
Thank you so much. I wish we had more time. There are several questions I would have loved to ask, but we hope that we'll have future engagements. Thank you so much for coming on Consumers Connection.
Thank you
So
for
that's
having
it.
me.
Always a pleasure. So thank you so much, dear listeners, for joining the Consumers Connect show. It has been an exciting conversation so far, speaking about energy sources, and particularly the solar energy. A lot of us already have these installed, but we do not really have enough knowledge. And as we have established today, you need to build a relationship with your service provider such that your value, you're getting the value. So it's not like a one-off. So in case you're not getting that thing, you can always get back to them. And Mr. Segun spoke about scalability. So you want to, it's like you're graduating from primary school to secondary school in case your finance cannot really afford it. So have that sort of mindset that, look, you can start small and you can grow. And you need a service provider that you can trust that can walk you through that process. So if you have any question after now, you can call the number on Consumers Connect, 08169441721. If you have any other questions you may want us to answer, you can call that number. We'll always give you responses. So thank you so much. As I've already said, one thing we've taken away from this conversation is that solar isn't about buying panels and batteries. It's about offering solutions, power solutions. and it's almost like power is life. So it is beyond just getting panels and batteries. It is about understanding your energy needs, asking the right questions, working with credible professionals, and making informed decisions. Reliable electricity is no longer just a convenience. It is becoming an essential part of our productivity, our businesses, and our quality, the quality of our lives. On that note, we say thank you so much for joining us on Consumers Connect Show. We look forward to having another exciting conversation next week, same time. Bye-bye.
Consumer Connect.